once I start the recording, this becomes, well, it already was, but it becomes telepathic. And this just means that we're communicating Atma to Atma, not body or mind to mind. The Atma you are is hovering above your head, running a body, and you're unaware of this most of the time. That's not normal either. If we're not a body and this isn't what's made in the image of the source, then what have people forgotten or been made to forget on earth? Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, almost everything. So they got nothing less but faith or belief. That's all they have access to. And they don't have enough courage awakened to step into the hue if it crosses their path. Most people turn away from that. Most people on earth. This Ekankar is not going to be some world religions known all over the world that takes over. No. People come and go.
Yeah.
It's not its purpose, not anymore anyway. I think when Paul Twitchell started it, it was the ancient science of soul travel. That's the only reason I was attracted to it, for no other reason.
Yeah.
All that other stuff, worship services and looking at Harold's picture and all the masters and all that stuff and clergy, that's all Christian church-based stuff, period.
Right.
They incorporated into what we call that organization today. And I have no interest in any of that whatsoever. Nor can I honestly be supportive of it. I'm not an enemy.
Became
But
contaminated.
I would have to step backward, throw my books in the trash, and forget I ever published them. And I'd have to write just about Harold, wouldn't I? Or something about that. I could never be independent. So my work naturally took me to drop that whole thing because it was doing nothing but holding me back. And I either had to stay stuck there voluntarily or move on.
Yeah.
Remember I was sharing with you that I don't really want this on the recording, but let's just say when I received what you would call an initiation beyond Satnam's realm, higher, it was not done by any person living on earth, either by their current name or their secret name. It was not done by them. They had no involvement in it whatsoever. Satnam did. This is the real truth of my experience. So I have to go with what I know. Now, when I went through that experience, I did something no one had ever done before. Surprised him. Not that a Satnam ever gets emotional or gets reactive, because they're beyond the lower worlds. But it was a surprise, unexpected. And from there, contributing to Satnam and to the upper worlds was my purpose for going above the void. To help change things. I had no other interest in it. So, returning to the source naturally awakens with us the desire and the drive to be co-creatively contributive to source itself in new ways. Because otherwise nothing will ever change. And we'd be running around doing this whole body worship thing for another billion years. Wasted time and effort. We're meant to be conscious, trustworthy co-creators with the source behind all life. Period. That's the answer of the most ancient question that's haunted people. Why do I exist? That is the answer, and there's only one. There's not two. It's not made with opposites, positive and negative. Could be this, could be that. Maybe it's theory, maybe it's that. No, it's definitive and definite. That's part of what we would call God realization. Self-realization is knowing what that is that you are, and getting all those faculties back on, operating normally, running bodies, enjoying them, but knowing you're not the body, God realization is knowing what the purpose of that is with the source that looks like that, but is much bigger and more complicated or complex. And then when you step into that, as an eternity of deeper realizations that come into this thing we call God realization, there is no end place in that. You first stick your big toe in the ocean of sound and light to see if the water is warm or hot or cold. That's the first step of stepping into God realization, but it's only beginning. Eventually you go way out in the middle of that ocean, breathe it in, saturate yourself in it, and then go into the center of the source itself. We return home. Now you haven't done that in a few billion years. So it's something we need to be doing while we're still running a body on all the planes. That's where mastery comes into it. Without direct experience, there is no mastery. And a master teacher cannot wave a magic wand and give us God realization. It doesn't matter who they are, what they think they are. They cannot do it. Because we are from the source, and we have to wake that up within ourselves. You cannot be given God realization by some master, a Mahanta, or anybody else. They don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Guide you down this path. Like at night, you're walking along the road and you can't see where you're going, and you see this coiled snake in there on the road. The master's behind you, flashes a flashlight on. You realize it's a rope. So you can tie your loose rope around yourself with the rope. And then you're walking along the cliff, and he says, halt, stop a minute. And you listen, and he shows you that the next few steps you just stepped off a cliff and perished. And the path turns right along the cliff edge, and he points the way. Now we choose to go with him, or we walk off the cliff.
Right.
And that's a pretty simple analogy, but it's true. They don't give us the destination. They just point to where it is and encourage us to go forward. They can't give us those things. We already have them, but they have to be recovered, awakened. And consciousness is the Atma, not a brain and body. This brain and body didn't learn how to write the Savior's agenda in college or English class.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas didn't write Star Wars from college. It was never in his brain growing up. He never knew how to do that. He was seeing things somewhere long ago past the time track and getting into a trance about it and writing it. And then he's a billionaire on Earth.
Right.
Because of that. But he didn't make it up in his brain, even though he believes he did. He didn't. He was a scribe.
Right.
Okay. If people on Earth knew this, they could be doing wonderful things by tuning into things that exist somewhere and bringing them here on Earth for the benefit of people. Cures for cancer, anti-gravitic propulsion, crystalline-based program technology, no disease. Start drawing energy from the chakras. You don't need to eat animals, all this kind of stuff, which is normal, and people on Earth are shut down from it. They cannot access it the way they are. It's not something they need to develop in the future as human bodies evolve higher. No. It's something that was taken from us. We're left with what we have. So we need to recover these higher awarenesses first before we can move on.
Right.
You cannot be bound to an organization created on Earth and play among the stars. You cannot work with higher masterful beings who don't exist on Earth if you don't go meet them.
Right.
In the greater God.
Yeah.
And the greater God is mostly not on Earth. I just wish people could grow up on Earth just knowing that one simple thing. Everything would change here. Virtually overnight. And the only way people can access this simple understanding is when fear is turned off, as yours is now.
Right.
These are implants. These are subconscious programs. Negative, fear, death will eat you, will kill you. Do not remember what we did to you or we'll do it to you again. It's a misuse of alien technology. on prisoners that were captured or interfered with. And instead of going to war with the Galactic Alliance, they sneak around the galaxy and start stuffing people on Earth for 500,000 years, masking their identical, unique energy signature so that Galactic Alliance people can't detect it, compulsively compelling you to reincarnate in one body after another with no memory. It's a nice prison planet, but there's no guard towers.
Yeah.
That's been stopped. That's permanent. But the effect is left with people on Earth. Most people were brought here as slaves.
Yeah.
Their treaty. Small colonies they were allowed to have on Earth, because no one race was ever allowed to dominate this planet, if you hadn't noticed. That happened at the end of a great war where Earth got stuck in that treaty as like a Switzerland, neutral. So there have been little places like Sumeria, which was a reptilian mining colony that brought human slaves with them to mine.
Right.
Sumerians would look at their reptilian overlords, who they would eat sometimes alive. Nasty stuff. They always looked at things, this predates Egypt, they always looked at things exactly as they were. They didn't flutter it up and, flower it up with, canoes going to the river of the damned and the dead like the Egyptians and taking all your stuff with you and all that crap. They would see a spaceship and depict in their tablets a spaceship. They would see a reptilian in a uniform, in a spacesuit, and depict it accurately. That's why the Sumerian tablets were so important. What people don't know, well, maybe the author of some of those Zitchins, whatever his name is, that did that work. Swiss person, Switzerland, speaks English. It was a reptilian mining colony, and it was not allowed to be permanent, and it was removed at some point.
Yeah.
The Mayan and Aztec people were mining, they were slaves. Brought to Earth. That whole priest thing, cutting hearts out, that's all reptilian thinking, by the way.
Okay.
So you know where these, and when you go to college, what kind of history are you taught? All the negative tyrant histories that ever existed. None of the good ones are taught in schools here at all.
Right.
Egyptians, tyrant kings and queens.
No, they never taught.
Genghis Khan, Rome, Mayan, Aztec. There's no good cultures taught about anything. The Dark Ages, the perverted, sadistic nature of the Roman Catholic Church in the Dark Ages and what they did to people for money.
Yeah.
For money.
Money, power.
Well, when you plant a witchcraft item on a wealthy landholder has a daughter, and then she's burnt at the stake, the state and the priest, under law, were allowed to confiscate the wealth of that person and split it. That was your Dark Ages. Pretty sadistic.
Yeah.
So this is what people are taught, but there have been many great cultures here. Lemuria was one. And for a time, Atlantis, which was a colony of Lemuria, was one. But there have been many cultures before that in solar system history, in Earth's history.
Okay.
They're not known to people at all. And you were in those histories, living a life back then. Either here or out in the galaxy somewhere else. Now the question is, why don't you remember any of it?
I don't remember.
Why?
Right.
Why?
I was blocked.
And what is a block?
Just erased.
No, it's not erased, it's suppressed.
Okay, suppressed.
What is the suppression technique that keeps you from seeing anything? What is used in that program, creating an artificial subconscious domain to stick it in so you don't know it's there, to influence your thinking? And you take that with you when the body dies. It's programmed in the field of energy around the Atma when it leaves. That's the problem. It's never in the Atma. You can't put negative programs in this. It's not made of nuclear matter. You can't, it doesn't fit. But it can be put in the electromagnetic field that surrounds that. Let me show you something.
while you're doing that, I heard of a term called a flower of life.
The what?
Flower of life.
What is that?
Some kind of Sumerian or some kind of
Do you
I
see
hear
this? Do you see this field that surrounds this body?
yeah, the magnetic field.
Electromagnetic field, yes, but that's the aura. Psychics see a thin band of color around here and they think they know what they're doing. They don't. This field around the body looks identical to this field. Let's see what we come up with here, because they don't always lead to the same place. So here's a toroidal field, pretty good picture of it.
Yeah.
Surrounding the body, comes out the head, goes in the feet, or comes out the feet, goes in the head. In this case, it's out through the top, and they've depicted it this way. And so there are actually layers in here. This here is not part of this. This is separate from what surrounds the body, but the same kind of field made of the hue surrounds this too. The Atma, behind my head,
Okay.
surrounds it way outside of it. The same field surrounds the planet Earth. The same field surrounds the galaxy. So let's go back and see if we can find something. Images, not getting this. Okay. This is not a very good. It's not a very good search either. It's just stupid, this thing. That's a good view of one, not very well done. But you can see this field that comes out of the north and south pole of the Earth. Now,
Right.
this is made of the omnipresent, this black energy. It's made out of the white golden light that is out in space. But it allows this sphere to stay balanced with other fields around other objects. So the moon can go around the Earth can go around the sun can go around other suns, and circle the central core of the Milky Way galaxy. The same kind of field exists around your body as it does around the Atma itself.
Okay.
That's important to know this, because otherwise you don't have a visual way to understand what it is you are, what it is you look like, or what to go do with it.
Yeah.
So let's look at this one. Doesn't seem to be many images. I don't know why. Usually I can find a lot of them. You say image and the stupid thing doesn't even know how to read the word image. That's stupid. Okay, then let's not use that one. Yeah, it's not a very good image of it either, because it's more scientifically depicted than visual. No, that's the same stupid image. Not very good. No, no images there either. I'm not doing something right. There we go. Let's see if we can see just one that's worth a damn. No, those are somebody else's philosophy about spin-off understandings of this and that.
Scott, does it frustrate you because you know more, your IQ and coming to Earth is
It's much higher than anything measurable on the planet, that's for sure.
must frustrate you then?
Oh yeah. Things work so slowly here, you just can't talk to computers or anything. Okay.
Are you able to work with the magnetic field and construct it?
Well, to some way, I don't mess with it or alter it because that would be to my own demise.
Okay.
Because you've got to have a body, or unless you want to drop it and not use a physical body on Earth anymore, but then sooner or later you got to master it anyway.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't make sense to waste what we have, but to make the best use of it.
Okay.
No, see, that doesn't show. Somebody's playing games with that. They're not showing us what we really need to see. Why can't I find it today? It shouldn't be that tough.
The magnetic field of the Milky Way galaxy is complex and a dynamic entity that extends far.
Oh, shut up, you intellectual snob. Theoretical bunch of bozos. Here we go. You gotta be simpler. This is toroidal fields. There's lots of them here. Let's see what we can find. People's artistic energy, all kinds of crap that just confuses the hell out of people.
So what are the colors? Does some of them mean cold and hot or?
No, yeah, but the colors of a galaxy are multicolored, but they're not made up of visible light. They're made up of visible light, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, you name it. This is what scientists have labeled different levels or rates of vibration of the same speed of light.
Okay.
The dummies on Earth have boxed themselves in. Oh, there's a limit to the speed of light. It takes billions of years from the light from the next galaxy to get to us. No, it doesn't. That's just the measurement of physical light human eyes can see. And they measured that on Earth with eyes. How stupid can you be?
Hey.
How stupid can you be? Beings have been coming here from other galaxies. How do they get here if the distances are too great? You can't do it. That's why non-classified scientists are worthless. They don't know anything. They're kept stupid. Really, really stupid. And I still don't see a worthwhile image in any of this. How come I can't just see?
Now you mentioned yesterday that water carries the H2O and not hydrogen.
It
Can
carries the hue. It stores
the
it.
hue,
It can be stored around those atoms in large quantity, yes.
the rainbow when you see it after a rain.
That's water refraction of light, like a prism, like crystals.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's all that is. But seeing all these toroidal fields, but these dummies don't show one around the galaxy. I used to find them by the dozens. All right, we won't spend any more time with this, but you can do some trying to find somebody that's got other than just the same stock crap. And I don't want to deal with it, any of it. I'm not finding the... Now, this is what a toroidal field looks like. Just imagine the Milky Way galaxy in the center of this.
Okay.
And then it's the same thing that you'll find around a person or a planet. They're identical because it allows things to be in relative position to each other and float in an energy that is non-nuclear, non-atomic. Does not observe the laws of physical matter, observes within its own structure, like planets and suns and stars and nuclear explosions and stuff in space, They all
Right.
interact in space-time. A reaction creates an equal and opposite reaction in space-time. It's basic law of physics. Let's get out of here. So, basics. We're spending the time to gather some awakening, enlightening basics that you should know or did know once about a lot of things. Because when we go out in space, which we're about to do, you're not going there in that body.
Okay.
Take that with you. When you put your body to sleep at night, you put it in the trance state called sleep. Without knowing it, you grow up identifying with sleep as who you are, your body, so you go unconscious. You're aware when you're traveling out of the body, but you don't do anything at all to bring back awareness of what you're doing when you leave that body for 8 hours. It recharges it. But it's run on automatic. You're not home. This is what people do not understand on Earth, and they're terrified to know this stuff. They're terrified to confront the Supreme Being face to face. They feel so guilty about so many things that they'll have their head be tucked down between their legs. You know what the mirror of God is? It shows you exactly what's true in you.
Yeah.
Well, if you're focused on being negative and guilt-ridden, that's what you're going to see.
That's what's going to show.
You're not going to see God at all. You're not going to see anything that
Right.
matters. So there is a man and a woman standing behind you. They are not an astral body. They're not a lighter form of the physical body. And they're from the Galactic Alliance. And they're considered master teachers, and there are many of them. And they're beginning to focus on individuals on Earth, usually helping them when they're out of their body at night in the dream state, preparing them to meet this work. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Because when you're out of your body above the earth meeting with master teachers and so forth, they see to it that fear you normally would take with you is turned off and kept turned off with your sleeping body. So when we naturally close our eyes, we're shutting off all input from the atmosphere of Earth, which is packed with negative nature, packed with all the negative deeds human beings have done to each other, to animals, to plants, to the environment, since life was being brought here over 65 million years ago. It's all recorded inside the atmosphere. It does not go out in space. It cannot plug into that black area that supports worlds and galaxies. That's omnipresent spirit. That's omnipresent living power.
Mm-hmm.
And all the little materialistic things of positive and negative energies float in it, creating toroidal or zero-point energy or electromagnetic fields. Higher science, if you will. And now what they're doing, this man and woman, and I'll describe them for you. I've done this many times on many journeys, but it bears sharing with you personally, because Shantial and Tonaltial are a couple. Their name is Shan-Tial, or actually Shon-Tial, and Tonaltil, Shantial and Tonaltial. They are generally from the Pleiades area, not from the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades, which is what they call the Pleiades star system in another constellation. They're from sun systems further back, several thousand light years further in that direction in our galaxy.
Okay.
We call them Pleiades from Greek, making up images of bears and people and things in the stars, from stars, drawing lines between points of light. So that's where the constellation names came from, but they don't call it Pleiades there. They appear to be 35 to 38 years old. They're really almost 400, 300, 500 years old in terms of Earth terms. And the body forms they're showing you do not age like people on Earth. The telomeres on their 4-stranded DNA do not shrink when cells divide. They do not age. Most advanced spacefaring races know how to leave their bodies, and their whole cultures are encouraged at birth. They know who they are when they're getting into running a body, who the people are that their parents will be. They remember what they were when they were big, and so forth. Most of the Galactic Alliance personnel were not traveling above the void either, as paradisical as their worlds were. This is fairly recent for them as well. He has long blonde hair and robin's egg blue eyes, slightly larger than Earth human. You can picture a human being with long blonde hair. He looks to be about 36, perfectly handsome, flawless, dressed well, Galactic Alliance uniform. Even though the form that is being shown you is not a human body. It's not an astral body. It's not an etheric body. It's the prototype we use to show ourselves to each other that the Atma, the spherical being, projects. This wakes up in you when subconscious implants are turned off. Subconscious terror. We all know how to do this, and we've always known how to do this. So they have bodies sitting in lounge chairs aboard the Emerald Star cruiser stationed in the ice rings that circle the planet Saturn in our solar system as we speak. And they're permanently stationed here for now to do two things. To keep us from blowing ourselves up, which they do diligently, and to keep alien negative races from entering this solar system, because all that was here has been removed more than 25 years ago, and not by us on Earth. She has long brunette hair and emerald green eyes, also slightly larger than Earth human, about 6 feet tall. They're very well experienced, well-trained technicians, among many other benevolent and beneficial disciplines, like piloting spaceships, being anti-gravitic technology experts, parallel dimension, time travel, all this stuff. Anti-gravitic propulsion systems. They've mapped out the natural occurring portals between higher realities in the physical universe. And they can take their ships up into these naturally occurring portals. They can also open artificial ones to get around. The natural ones get you places more quickly, more directly. Obviously, the universe was set up with a structure. These interdimensional doorways exist in precise geometric locations throughout the physical universe. Many exist in a triangular grid pattern on planet Earth, the Bermuda Triangle, in the atmosphere above the big volcano on the island of Hawaii, above Mount Shasta, near where I live, Caucasus Mountains in Russia, all over the planet, either in the atmosphere or on the ground, like Sedona in Arizona. But it's above the Mesa Airport. It's not on Bell Rock. It's not on a power spot on the ground. When you're in such places and you know where to look, you hear the sound of the hue loudly rumbling through your head. It's a place people can be taken to hear the sound for the first time when they could never hear it before, because they keep trying to hear it with their physical ears. And this cannot be done. So I've described this couple because they're assigned to you. They're not from Earth. They weren't born on this planet. They don't have subconscious minds. They cannot be tricked or manipulated. They do what they do voluntarily. They're simply there to keep your negative stuff turned off for this journey. We're just beginning it. Takes some preparation. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So if you keep your eyes open, you're not going to see this stuff unless you're one of those people who can see with your eyes open. I can. Most people can't. They don't know how to keep the two separate. The visual, physical eyesight, things you're seeing, and what you're really seeing as an Atma. Think of it this way. You don't need any self-discipline to know how to daydream. You don't need any self-discipline to know how to put your body to sleep at night, right? You don't. So you're an expert, a master of it. Except you're unconscious about how you're doing it. That's the problem. So right now, your body's in the trance state called sleep. Exactly how you put it to bed every night, except because of my voice, which is telepathic, not just vocal cords. And because of Turelian and master teachers I work with, which you will meet on this journey, they add their wisdom telepathically to this journey for your benefit. They do not force enlightenment on you. They don't wave a magic wand, but they serve as direct channels of the hue, as direct conscious examples. And that rubs off on us as the energy passes through us from them. We pick up on it. We begin to emulate what they know because it's in us to awaken. They know that too. So you can, when you daydream and you imagine going to the store, what you don't realize is that your mind is not picturing that store at all. It's not in the brain. There's no mechanism in the human brain, like a motion picture camera, that projects images on a movie screen on the other part of the brain. That's a fantasy. It's an illusion. You can't imagine going to the store with the brain. You do that as the Atma. You actually see the store. And then your body follows. You want to go to the beach? You first have to visualize it, right? That's daydreaming. It is exactly the same way that out-of-body travel is conducted. Paul knew this. You visualize is not making it up in your brain. It's the Atma, the true being, that he would ask people to look at. Hey, see yourself floating down the Nile in a boat. And then you finally realize that's what you're really doing. So you see yourself hovering near the ceiling looking down on your body. This is just daydreaming it. And up near the ceiling you look left and right and you realize there are two beings, spherical beings, hovering to each side of you. And they're showing you this Shantiol and Tonaltiol, perfect male and female body. They have a blue-gray, thin-fitting, almost like, not silk, but smooth, uniform on with the Galactic Alliance symbol on their right chest. It's a golden, silvery galaxy with a four-sided, gold-sided pyramid with a quartz crown hovering above the central nucleus of the galaxy, and three blue, cobalt blue stars in triangular formation above the point of the pyramid. That is a symbol for the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. There's no Federation out there. There's no Star Trek. There's 450 million spacefaring world systems involved in that organization that comprises a little under 1/2 of our galaxy. And they're the good guys. So you're seeing a form you're showing them that looks to be a man about 36, perfectly handsome. This is the way Satnam shows his form to us. It is not a physical body made of molecules and atoms. It is a prototype form we share with each other, which is where human type forms originally came from him, from Satnam. You with me?
Yep.
Okay. Now this means these two are simply keeping your primary and secondary implants, subconscious negative stuff turned off. It's easy, effortless for them to do that. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't do that. I leave that up to the experts who have never been influenced by subconscious things like we have been on Earth. Because they don't make mistakes. I might. This is why I don't remove implants. I can, but I don't. Because I want it in the hands of people that aren't influenced by this culture or this planet or its atmosphere. Once I'm out in space, I'm not influenced by anything on Earth anyway. And then I'm able to speak any language and communicate with everybody telepathically. So you're near the ceiling looking at your body, and these two beings beside you point upward, and you find yourself at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. They're still hovering there. There's still three of you showing each other this perfect human-like form, well dressed. It's not made of atoms at all. It's not an astral body. It's not an etheric body. It's the type of thing you would show other beings in Satnam's realm or higher. We've always known how to do this. Fear keeps you away from being conscious of it. That's all. Fear and the primal or omnipresent sound do not mix. They do not combine. You cannot bring negative nature into the omnipresent hue. They do not mix at all, period. So these are left turned off with your body on Earth, safe, protected. When we leave our body at night, when you put the body to sleep, there's an energy beam connected to the pineal gland. It is not a golden cord or silver cord that can be cut. It's not a link to the astral body, which is a silver cord, or a golden cord to some higher body that can be severed. It is an energy not made of physical matter that you run the body. And it's energy from you, the white core of your being, that runs that body, because bodies do not have battery packs and energy charges. Bodies do not run themselves ever. If you disconnected that energy through the pineal gland in the center of your brain, your body would simply stop, perish. The more conscious beings would disconnect that for a body they either want to drop or they want to experience something higher. And they do it voluntarily. They don't struggle for a last gasp of breath and dying. That's quite abnormal. That's fear. So you're up in the atmosphere looking right through the roof of your house, and you can see these two beings, and you are still hovering above that body. Both places simultaneously. This is what direct projection is all about. Multi-dimensional capable. The Atma runs 5 bodies all the time anyway, only you've been tricked and made to be forgetful of all this. You have a life you're living on the astral plane where all emotion comes from that connects through your pineal gland to this life on Earth. Your emotional structure is not made up of this one lifetime. You go up to the causal plane, the next division, and you have a life and a body made of causal matter living there. You have a mental body above that and an etheric body above that. And it's transparent. It's like all the images you see of etherical beings that are transparent. You see all the chakras lit up. Well, that's what you look like up there. But it's still not free. You still got some negative matter mixed in with the mostly positive energy in the etheric plane. And most beings never want to leave there. They're trapped. They don't want to go back across the void home and become a co-creator and have to be responsible with Source. They're like children, spoiled. Or brainwashed is more like it. So this form, you suddenly find yourself standing in a circle of beings around a friend, Ambassador Turellian, in space, out in space, right where the space shuttle goes, a little further out, and you're standing in this pure energy body. The Atma you are that spherical's hovering above it. So you are seeing yourself in a physical form that can smell, taste, touch, and experience multi-dimensions in this energy form that looks human. You can feel space. It's not cold or hot to you. You don't feel radiation from the sun. You don't need to breathe, although you look like you're breathing. But you're breathing in the hue and out. You're not breathing oxygen. You are the spherical being hovering above the form. And Turellian is showing you an 18-foot tall body. Because the Sayrays were 18 to 25 feet tall when they had physical bodies. And they got rid of those over 1 billion Earth years ago. Humans did not evolve on Earth ever. And one of the oldest races in creation, they didn't even originate in the Milky Way galaxy. Did you know that?
Hmm.
None of this happened overnight. It took billions of years. The Sayrays were like advanced scientists. They worked for the Silent Mentors. They knew about Satnam and all this stuff. And their job was to raise genetic forms, whether they're animal or human-like, reptilian or greys or Nordics or African American or Caucasian or whatever the different skin tones may be, which, by the way, comes from being on a planet that has no polar ice caps, one much larger world than Earth, usually 3 moons or 2 circling at the size of Earth, that orbit a trinary sun system. Most of the suns in our galaxy are binary or trinary. The nearest star to Earth's sun is binary. Big sun, little sun. Earth, the planets revolve around that. Trinary is 3 suns. Big one, slightly smaller, an even smaller one, or a red giant, nearing its Earth, the end of its life, orbiting that. And the planets revolve around that. Scientists on Earth today know most of the suns in our galaxy are trinary. They're not single suns like Earth. And they have live moons turning on their axis. Earth's dead. Moon is dead. It doesn't turn at all. It should. You can see the Earth with its polar ice caps and oceans and beautiful landmasses. You don't see roads or buildings from up here. And you see the barren moon, pockmarked with meteor craters, orbiting the planet pretty as you please, but never turning one bit on its axis. Earth's gravity and other planets should have it moving, but it doesn't move at all. So it's not doing what it should do for bodies made mostly of water on Earth. This is what the tides do, the full moon. Upon a full moon, a person's either very up or very negative. Because the water is like swinging positive and negative energies through it. The moon does not function correctly that circles Earth, and it needs to be fixed for this world to be normal. That plan is underway. You're standing in a circle of beings. I'm to your right. Master Ramu, with a maroon robe about 6 feet tall, swarthy dark brown skin, looks like a Tibetan, or a simple rope for a belt, sandals, holding a crystal staff, appears to be made of quartz, glowing with golden light, has a symbol of the Ankh on top of it, which is actually a device. Now here, he's not in a physical form. He's showing you the form he actually has on Earth. Master Ramu goes back to the time of Lemriel, and he was not from Earth then. Short cropped curly black beard and hair, coal black eyes. That will remind you of somebody you know in the Viragi. But this is a much more ancient personification and a deeper truth than is revealed in organizations on Earth about these beings. He works from and hangs his hat in Agam Des. That is not in the Himalayas or Shambhala, Shangri-La, where people think it is. It is in a higher parallel dimension. In Himalayan-type mountains on an Earth that exists quite different from the Earth you know, in the 3rd higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. There are 144 parallel dimensions in each major division. It's just big. Out here, when you look at what you thought was blackness, it's a white golden light everywhere, supporting these worlds. You can see the electromagnetic field of the hue circling out the South Pole and the North Pole, surrounding the outside of the Earth. Then you realize the same energy field is surrounding the Atma you are, hovering above this physical pure form. And there's one of those around it. You can see it around Turelian. Both his body form and the Atma he is quite large. He's 18 feet tall. The Sayris immortalized their bodies over 1 billion years ago in a very special way. They dematerialized the atomic structure and stored it in one of the teardrops near the white core of their being. When he wants to appear solid and show you this, he mocks it up out of the one power he's plugged into, fills the DNA pattern, and this energy being you could go up and touch appears. He doesn't have the burden of pushing around a human body or feeding it or taking it to the bathroom. He doesn't have a physical body. These are very evolved beings. This is Ambassador Turelian of the Sayris. Further out in space in this orbit of beings is a master named Opellum. He's from a planet called Oceania. It is located on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. Galactic Alliance spacecraft can traverse between these parallel dimensions. So the 450 million plus spacefaring races are located on a number of levels within the physical universe. Your brain and mind on Earth cannot comprehend this stuff, but you can. You are an Atma. You are not limited to the brain and personality of one lifetime. Your higher wisdom and intelligence and IQ come from waking up you and then running that through the body on Earth. So out here in space, you are in the ancient science of soul travel. You are in space right now. Your body's sitting in that chair. You can hear sounds around you. Your ears still work. But it's in the trance state called sleep. I'm sitting here looking at you. My eyes are closed. I'm speaking, but my body is also in the trance state called sleep. I've learned how to do this. There are other beings here. Eta and Din are Dren, silica-based beings from planet Oceania, where Master Opellum comes from. Master Opellum is about 6 feet tall, pale blue skin like Melina on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book. That's his daughter, was 100,000 years ago. They were not from Earth. Captain Calum is not from Earth. He's part of the Galactic Alliance from another world system back then. His slightly pointed ears like an elf and emerald green eyes and jet black hair to his shoulders. He's wearing a Galactic Alliance uniform with that Galactic Alliance symbol on his right chest. He's showing you a body that looks to be about 40. He actually has that body that looks the same age on planet Oceania. Out here in space, he's left that body and has joined us as the Atma to go on this journey. There are other beings going on this journey other than you. Some of them are master teachers that teach in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Law of economy stuff here. They go with us to help and contribute to you and your life, but also to have you contribute to theirs. They learn from you as well. So why not go together on this journey? They're going to go and fulfill a particular period of time teaching at the Hue Expansion Ray Academy and then come back to their particular worlds on different dimensions below the void. The man and woman are from the Galactic Alliance itself that are keeping your subconscious mind turned off. They're standing beside you. They're not interfering with you. They're not reading your mind or anything. They're just keeping negative stuff turned off. That's what they do. That is Shantiol and Tonaltiol. They're a mated pair. many, many hundreds of years older than Earth people. And yet they don't look older than 36 or 38. Just like you. They have their bodies sitting in a lounge egg-shaped chair with a blue cushion by an oval blue glass top table with a thick radiant blue carpet that is on board the Emerald Star cruiser stationed in the ice rings that make up 1.5 miles thick rings that circle the planet Saturn. Scientists on Earth today know those rings are made up of water, frozen water. How the hell did a whole ring system of frozen water surround a big gas giant planet? Mystery, huh? Isn't that interesting? Etta and Din are drens, silica-based. They're hovering above Ramu's head, about 3 feet long from the tip of their cute noses, their snouts, to their tails, standing on their upright hind legs like a human, their tail extended out behind them, glowing like crystal opal in bright sunlight. Big bulbous blue eyes. When their mouths are closed, they look like they're amused about something. Pale green skin, not moist or wet like a salamander. These aren't lizards. They have photographic memories and are telepathic just like us. And they're considered to be master teachers. I've known the both of them for over 100,000 years. I first met them in the book that reveals this in the Emerald Doorway. The beings in that book, Captain Caleb, Melina, Etta, and Din, and so forth, are Galactic Alliance citizens. They were then as well. And so was I, way back then. When you look up above Etta and Din, who are simply wiggling their fingers at you, they have a thumb and 4 fingers, a big toe and little toes, just like a person. And they can walk upright, run on all fours, or levitate and fly through the air, because as an organic species on their planet, they evolved with the ability to defy gravity. Charge is set up around their tail, creates an electrogravitic field around their body, and they can fly several hundred miles an hour. The diaphragm in their noses closes down, a second set of eyelids come down. And the Opellum, who's a very old master teacher, and the Oceanian people and scientists helped them evolve in this way. Master Opellum standing in space, a little further out in space, around Turelian with us, helped sponsor the development of the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance worlds over 500,000 years ago, at the end of a great war between the Galactic Alliance and a reptilian tyrant race who controlled Greys at the time as well. They were defeated, and a treaty was created. A treaty's not worth the paper it's written on. So other steps had to be taken to remove the illegal influence of such beings from our solar system. And this was done more than 25 years ago. Up above Etta and Din, you see Satnam standing there. And the last year he's begun to come on these adventures and show up. He doesn't have to come down into the physical universe from the Atma plane. There's something he's doing he's never done before. I welcome it. He's about 6 feet tall, bronze-skinned, bald head, golden eyes, not yellow, 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles. Muscular, strongly built, ripped. About 36, but he looks ageless. This is the body form he shows us. Above him is hovering this massive, beautiful Atma. More layers in it, brighter than we are. But we're like it. And he's simply there because above him is an hourglass-shaped vortex that goes upward. It's made of an energy from above the void, from the void itself. And it's whirling clockwise. There's a blue-green luminous light whirling around it like water, but it is not water. It is a portal created to bypass the astral, causal, mental, and etheric planes and go straight into the void. This is done with the co-creative work of a few of us that do this collectively together. Because we can. Because we can remember how to see this, to visualize it. And the omnipresent power then manifests it. We are not the omnipresent power that manifests what we visualize or what we tune into. The one power does all the manifesting. So we don't have power individually, but we collectively share the one power. That's how it really works. Ambassador Trellian, standing in this circle of few beings, 24, 26, 28 people, including you and I, and the man and woman beside you. Don Tam and Lam Tam are another couple that work in the Galactic. They're standing beside me. Just making sure nothing negative goes with me along this journey either. They're also going to teach in one of the Academy, Hugh Expansionary Academy teaching facilities. So they're escorting us, helping us, and then going there for other purpose than just us. Trellian has his two thumbs up and his closed fist, and there's a brighter golden white light of hue around them. What it's doing is drawing energy from above the void, through his body form, through the Atma hovering above this 18-foot tall body, quite big. Looks like a Greek god. Long, blonde, slightly wavy hair to his shoulders, big blue eyes bigger than Earth humans, slightly pointed ears like an elf. Very handsome, white tunic-like dress covering his whole body just above his bare feet. And he's projecting an oval, transparent golden light around us like the hull of a spaceship. It's a little brighter than the hue that's in space and the physical universe that surrounds Earth, because every way you look out there, it's a golden white light. Billions of stars, big blue young hot ones and big yellow ones bigger than Earth's sun, and little red dwarfs and big red giants. You can see them all suspended in this other field of energy that's behind them, supporting them, the omnipresent hue. And then this whole bunch of us is moved upward, following Satnam as he recedes upward inside that vortex, and we follow him upward. We hear the sound around us of the physical universe, a universal sound that sounds like rumbling thunder, but it's not frightening. There's no lightning. And it becomes a higher humming sound as we move upward. Then it becomes the sound of humming bees, bells ringing consistently in the distance, then a high note of a flute, and we're drawn up into this vortex. As we move up inside it, this whole group of beings appears like the size of a dime to a dinner plate, and we're in the narrowing center of it. And as we look through these moving transparent walls of energy, we can see layers, levels of galaxies of higher matter passing beneath us. And then we're suddenly shot out into a void. It's a pale blue luminous light everywhere. It's made of the pure hue. It is above the etheric plane. We've bypassed those planes deliberately for this journey. We don't want to get caught up in the phenomena of the astral, emotion, causal, mental, etheric, and all that right now. And we're shot up upward, spiraling upward, following Satnam. You look down and see this vortex dwindle and vanish below your feet. And now there's nothing but the void around us. No buildings, no beings. It appears to be empty but this one luminous pale blue light. There are actually beings that live in the void, but most beings, even master teachers, never meet them because they've never passed the test to try. They're there just the same. Hovering to each side of Satnam is a male and a female silent mentor. Some refer to them as silent ones, but they are silent mentors now. This means They have a single colored gown on. One is blue for a male, one is green for a female. He has long blonde hair to his shoulders. She has emerald green hair to her shoulders. You don't see facial features. These are silent mentors. The form they show us that appears human-like has no facial features. You look into their face and you see levels upon dimensions inside that face. This is how they think. And hovering above them is a bigger, more beautiful Atma than us. 4 times wider in diameter, twice as many teardrop layers of faculties. And they are escorting us with Satnam upward beyond the void. In the distance we see what appears like a point of light, and then it widens, and as we approach it, you can see a luminous sandy beach glowing a foot above the sand like diamond-like sand. And as far as you can see to each side, you can see this sand curves inward, implying that this beach surrounds a circular floating landmass. And then you're standing on that beach, wiggling your toes in this glowing sand. Remember, this body looks human, is not human. It's not made of matter. And this energy comes up your feet through the top of your head. You look up smiling, goes right into the white core of your being and out into the layers, turning on some of these dormant faculties that you haven't used in a couple billion years. Higher common sense understanding of the multiverse. Not something you need to learn in the future, something you need to recover now first, so you can go further. And Satnam is standing in the sand with us. Terrellian's standing offshore as if he's standing up to his knees in ocean water. But he's standing up to his knees in this pale blue luminous light. It is at the upper edge of the void, which is a very great distance to cross, in a sense. Doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes the amount of right kind of vibration and light to cross it. And then Satnam levitates up above the sand, and we follow him over the top of these trees, and these jungle trees are transparent. Fruit trees and all kinds of exotic trees, but there's energy moving up and down the transparent trunks. And above them are these birds with long V-shaped split tails with rainbow-colored feathers, blended millions of colors, big blue eyes. They look kind of like a blue jay, but they got 2 sets of bird wings, and they're hovering there like a hummingbird. Above them is an Atma, and all of them, hundreds of them coming out of the trees, are lining up in concentric rows. And they're singing the hue on multiple levels with perfect vocal cords. They're actually creating the sound of the void. And behind that is the high note of a flute, and it's drawing us onward. As we move over the top of the jungles, we look down and see a clearing. There's a fountain coming out of a 100-foot in diameter white stone floor. It has white scalloped edges. It's about 15 feet across. Has a statue of Satnam in it. 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, white tunic dress, bare-chested, bronze-skinned, gold eyes, bald. He looks like he's from India, but he's not. And then there's Satnam, showing you a physical form that looks the same, hovering beside the fountain, and a much bigger Atma hovering above this form. And he's pointing to the fountain. There's this golden white shaft of light coming down this fountain. It pours through the top of the head and out the open palms facing downward, facing outward at his sides. Fills this bowl with this radiant energy from a higher plane. It falls in a glistening clear curtain around the outer edges and drops and disappears in the ground behind a circular stone flat sitting seat. He points into the distance towards a diagonal mountain range, from the lower right to the upper left. White snow covering blue stone. There's a palatial crystalline estate, transparent glass-like buildings near the base of that mountain, and of 2 big lapis lazuli blue stone golden laced pillars up hundreds of steps of foot-thick, golden glowing quartz-like steps. And through it is this kind of a crystal, transparent blue throne chair with polished, smooth edges, but nobody sits in it. I've never seen Satnam sit there, ever. It's a device. A golden white shaft of light is coming into it and being dispersed elsewhere. Behind it is a triangular opening into the background. Behind this palatial estate, this is Satnam's abode. And there's an even bigger fountain, surrounded by concentric circles of botanical paradise up against the base of the mountains. And there's a water fountain coming up from the base of this scalloped edge of this big fountain, blue, green, and gold light, up to a point, and then it falls down on itself. And a shaft of white golden light is coming down into this. And we're all suddenly moved up through the center of this vortex, right through the pillars, right through past the throne chair and up this fountain. And the next thing we see is a brilliant cobalt blue atmosphere everywhere. And we look down and see this shaft of light going to the top of this tall fountain disappear. We have entered a realm that's been built between the top of Satnam's realm and the beginning of the 6th Purusha realm in a specially created parallel dimension. The only thing here in this vast cobalt blue brilliant light, there are no planets, no moons, no suns, no stars here, because we're all luminous. Everything here creates its own light. They are not needed or necessary. We are in pure positive energy. There is no negative nature anywhere here, and we can't bring anything with us that way. We see in the distance a huge floating circular landmass. It has a white diamond-like beach surrounding the outer circumference that's brighter than the one in Satnam's realm. And there's a blue-green ocean wave constantly curling and crashing on the beach as it circles the entire perimeter, constantly moving, keeping this land floating in this other atmosphere of the hue, because the golden white light is behind this blue atmosphere. In the center of this landmass are 6 snow-covered mountain peaks. And down in the center basin between them is a singular like a white circular island surrounded by a blue-green luminous lake. There's a blue glass-like tower coming up out of the outer circumference of this island, extending upward. It goes up very far and it comes to a flattened oval administration area with another fountain in it. There's no statue of Satnam here. It goes up to a minaret point, and there's a shaft of white golden light coming down into it. In the center, at the base of this island, inside this transparent blue glass-like Hue Expansion Ray Academy tower, is a pedestal 4 feet high. It's made of a blue lapis lazuli gold lace stone, and then a 4-foot in diameter crystal glass-like sphere floating above it, not touching it. There's a cobalt blue radiant star in the center of it, and another shaft of white golden light coming down into it. That's in the very center. When we rise up above this Hue Expansion Ray Academy and look down on it, you can see that at the base of these 6 mountains, near the central third of this entire landmass, are these horseshoe-shaped tunnels glowing with gold light, out of which extend perfectly pure white stone roadways. They go through this landscape and jungles and gardens and pastures in every direction like the spokes of a bicycle tire, and they end on the beach. And down each roadway, to the left, a little bit further to the right, a little bit further to the left, are these clearings with different types of buildings and teaching facilities. This is the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. High above, when we look down on this land, it's the only thing floating in this huge cobalt blue atmosphere. Silent mentors have teaching facilities here along with master teachers. Silent mentors are the mechanics of creation. They normally have never had an interaction with beings like us. They run and hold in place the entire multidimensional creation. The doorways between dimensions, planets revolving around suns, galaxies spinning on their axis. They hold all this in place. They never get fatigued, they never get tired, and they work 24/7. They never stop. They are always in serenity of being. They need nothing from anyone. They have unlimited power, instant freedom to be anywhere, in any level, on any place in creation, in any form, to carry out a mission, and you will never know they're there unless they want you to. As I said, they've never had much interaction, or none, really, with Atmas like us. That's more the purview of master teachers, who would care more about individuals to a degree. Silent mentors have no such interest. But here in the Hue Expansionary Academy, we can rub shoulders with them. This one place has been set up to do that for the first time since creation began. And so when you look down on this, divide this up across, put a cross right through the middle of this huge landmass, there's 4 quadrants: northwest, northeast, southwest, east, southwest. And a roadway going down the middle third of each one of these, 2/3 away towards the coast. There's a clearing to the right. And in each one is a silent mentor teaching facility. When you look out into the ocean of this blue cobalt light, there is a dome over a small island, 3 golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids in the left third, and a fountain in the center. It's very special. There are 12 of those offshore, out in the blue light, surrounding the outer circumference of the Hue Expansionary Academy. These are silent mentor teaching facilities. There are 12 of them. 4 on the proper mainland. So here, if we choose to, we can go visit with Lightsea, or Ramu, or Pelham, or Etta and Din, who are master teachers here, and go to any number of facilities that are here to explore awakening our awareness of the grand multidimensional creation. Here, we mix it up with beings in order to become conscious co-creators of all life, which means we are required to know all life in the grand multidimensional creation as individual Atmas in order to be trustworthy conscious co-creators with the one power. This is required. We cannot do that praying to the source. It won't tolerate it. And we find ourselves out in the northwestern quadrant, hovering above another one of these 4-foot in diameter crystal spheres, the radiant cobalt blue star in the middle of it, hovering above a 100-foot wide, stone-wide floor. There are 12 trees surrounding this. They are like giant weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped leaves glowing with a blue-green light. Standing above the top of the trees is this projection of a human-like form, alternating male and female, different full-colored gown on each one, different long-colored hair to their shoulders, different skin on their arms, color of the rainbows, each one representing a different ray, so to speak. And above them is this being hovering, 4 times wider in diameter than we are, twice as many teardrops. These are silent mentors. Can you still stay with us so far?
Yeah.
Because your eyes are open. What happened?
I kind of dived a little bit.
You what?
I kind of like my
Okay.
visual. I'm back again.
All right, so you see these guys. This is pretty lofty stuff. You're far above the void here. There's no negative nature here. There's just you. And you're a spherical being. You're an Atma. You always have been. You might as well get used to it now. And all they're doing is sharing an energy with us. Turellian's standing in this beam of energy coming down in this cobalt blue star in this 4-foot in diameter sphere hovering above this white circular stone floor. This is how they teach. There is no blackboards or computers or anything here. There's a shaft of golden white light coming down through Turellian, standing in the middle of it above this sphere. And there's these 12 silent mentors. There are master teachers in a circle of beings in between Turellian and all of us and these 12 silent mentors. And there's energy moving through the tops of the Atmas they are. Through these forms they're showing us with facial features. There's just white light. You can't see any facial features. That's how they choose to show themselves to us. And it's moving through us and through Turellian up this shaft of light, and it's moving constantly. So what we're doing is rubbing shoulders with the mechanics of creation, the silent mentors. What they're doing to us or what effect they're having, I have no idea, except to say this. Here, we are being put into becoming prototype beings. In other words, a slight mix of silent mentor, unlimited capability, and master teacher, compassion or love for other beings and helping them evolve. We're blending. And we become boots on the ground when we return to Earth because this energy never stops moving. It is called the Hue Expansion Ray. And you can only comprehend it here. And now we're going further. We're in this golden oval circle of light like a hull of a spaceship moving up the shaft of light above this crystal sphere. Turellian's going with us, and we're shot upward at tremendous speed until we look down and see the entire Hue Expansion Ray Academy dwindle to a point and vanish. And we're moving up levels of planes, all pure positive, no negative nature. Most of them have no physical appearing form in them, but there are beings here. And then we come out into a fiery realm. Orange and blue and green and fiery red, moving everywhere, roaring out of the ground and moving into the distance, peering and fading away. And there's this big, huge, radiant, Atma-like being, almost pure white with color in it, approaching us. Now, this is Agam Parusha, and he runs or regulates the raw power of eternity like a great transformer and sends it down into the lower worlds. This one being. When I first met Agam Parusha, I asked to be his friend. I didn't want to just get passed by him, go up to the ocean of sound and light. I figured the guy could use a buddy. I wasn't afraid of him. I wanted to be his friend. And so I became his friend. We must receive permission from him to pass onward, because he regulates the raw power of the omnipresent hue. He's everywhere in it. We are individual drops in this mighty ocean. He's a big drop in it, let's put it that way. And so in the distance you see this what looks like a golden silver tree, massive fir tree, with golden silver needles and a trunk that's transparent, roots going down into this fire energy till they disappear below our feet, and upward you can't even see the top of this tree. And we are given permission to move as a group of beings inside this trunk of this tree. And as we pass each needle, you see an individual planet represented, trillions of them, galaxies, whole dimensional levels represented in this, what is called the tree of life. And we're moving up the trunk of this tree, which is another one of these energy doorways. There are many. When we come out the other end, we are in an even brighter cobalt blue atmosphere. It's everywhere. And there's one golden silvery galaxy turning on its axis in the middle of all this. As a group, we're speeding towards it. And when we start to pass the outer layer of what we thought were stars in the arms of a galaxy, these are individual beings, Atmas, quite brilliant. And we pass easily between two of them, like the distance between two stars. And we move through layers of this until we come out into a vacuum or a void in the center of it. And in the center is a white island. Hovering above it is this massive prime creator, silent one, source, many layers of teardrop faculties, many colors, millions, but we look like it on a smaller scale. And as we move between the outer layers of those teardrop faculties, this is a nexus of all Atmas in all creation, all masters, all silent mentors, all beings, animals, plants, trees, everything, planets, connected here. This is Source. It is not an individual being on a throne. You won't find one here. And the first thing you find yourself doing is saying, I am that, I respect that in myself. And we move between these teardrops until we find ourselves inside the white, radiant core of Source. And the white, radiant core in our beings, because there's no physical form here, no apparent human-like form. It's just us, the Atmas. And you hear and receive a gracious welcome home. And then it has something to say to you personally. We cannot stay here long. It's too far removed from physical life on earth, and your physical body would perish. So we'll suddenly find ourselves coming out of the trunk of another tree of life, right out of these silver golden branches, and stepping onto a foot-thick luminous golden forest square inside a massive pyramid. And this tree comes right out of the central floor of this ground of this pyramid, goes up, and the very top point of the tree is just under the pyramid point. And there's a little Asian master teacher named Lightsea standing there with his right hand up. Got a little circular hat on his head, little maroon colored symbols, esoteric symbols on it. Frail little guy, about 5'5" or 5'6", known as the Faultless Guardian, by the way. He was the first master teacher who resides in the etheric plane, doesn't have bodies below there, to offer to teach and supervise this teaching facility. So this is his teaching facility. And he's greeting us as we come out of this other tree of life, much smaller, right out of this transparent trunk. We just came from the bigger one up in Agam Purusha's realm. And after that, we went into the Source and found ourselves back here. Direct projection. Bypassed many planes to get back to the Hue Expansionary Academy, where we are now. Lightsea points to these circular glass-like doors that open into the solid wall of the pyramid, and we walk out into this path, blue stone path. You look back and see this massive pyramid, golden-sided with a quartz crown, and a golden white shaft of light running up and down inside it. This is Lightsea's teaching facility now. And I am a co-creator with him. And then we look out and see that in the distance, you can see the 6, and we're like in this first right turn down the western roadway that goes in one direction all the way to the beach. And in the other, these 6 snow-covered mountain peaks, close by. The next thing we know, we are looking down on the Milky Way galaxy, all the way in the physical universe, and we can see the Andromeda galaxy, another galaxy spinning out in this golden white light. It's not black, not to us. It has the sound of this rumbling, humming thunder, no lightning, sound of the hue in the physical universe. And we're coming down towards the galactic core of this galaxy. Until we hover above a world 4 times bigger than Earth, no polar ice caps. 3 continents centered around the equator. 3 planets the size of Earth with no polar ice caps orbiting at different distances around this big world. And in the distance we can see trinary sun system. Big, hot, young, white, blue star, billions of years old. And a bigger yellow sun than ours circling further out, and a red dwarf. Actually, it's another golden sun like ours, but smaller. But it has a red kind of color to it. It's not really a red dwarf. And so we're looking at a trinary sun system. It's near the galactic core, not in it. It's not the black hole, which isn't black, by the way. It's a white shaft of golden white light running up and down the center of that axis of the galaxy. In the distance, you can see this beautiful landscape terrain. Tall, thin pyramid buildings, glass-like buildings of spherical and tripod legs, little white pathways and waterfalls built running everywhere. And in the distance, a glowing, golden, luminous ocean, calm. And there's an even brighter golden sand circling a cove of a beach. You look up into the sun because we're down in the atmosphere of this planet, and you can see these 3 suns at different distances as this planet turns on its axis, moving across the heavens. You can see down in the center of this city a large, curved, white, glistening, glittering stone that's translucent. You can almost see through it. And this is a central council chamber of the Galactic Alliance. 5,000 member representatives represent 450 million spacefaring world systems here. And we're inside the top of the dome. You look down and see Turellian standing 18 feet tall, way down there on a foot-thick disc blue, like a stage. And around him are the first layer of this white, foot-thick stone, like I don't know what kind of stone it is. Then another layer, like widening concentric circles that go up 15 levels. And there are white leather-like chairs stationed all around each layer, and 5,000 members with a white golden kind of gown on and a golden sash from the right shoulder to left hip. Human, humanoid, snake-like eyes, mantis kind of, many types of human, many types of colors you don't even get on Earth. Bigger ears, bigger eyes, well dressed in these council gowns. And they are beings, Atmas hovering above them, and they see us hovering around Turellian, up above him, in a circle. And Satnam is present here. And then you see Turellian open this big book. I mean, this guy's 18 feet tall. It's like, the book's got to be 5 feet wide when you open up, or, you know. But when he closes it, you see the Sayre's agenda on the cover. It is a word that's spelled S-E-R-E-S, but it's phonetically pronounced S-A-Y-R-A-Y-S, Sayre's. You remember I said that the mentor teachers of the Sayres are the silent ones themselves, the silent mentors. When Turellian first appeared before this Galactic Alliance Council, the energy coming through him changed all of these council members. They became more interested in transforming Earth instead of allowing it to go up into Armageddon again. This is the effect the Sayres have on them, because they disappeared for 1 billion years, and when they came back, they looked and see what we did with everything, and it's not a pretty picture. So something happened to the Sayres that changed them to want to get involved here again, who do not have physical bodies. And that affected the Galactic Alliance Council. This is not a federation. It doesn't come from Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. It is an alliance of world systems so vast people on Earth cannot comprehend it. Not in the physical forms they're locked into. They're capable of it when fear is set aside, yes. So they see us there hovering around Turellian, and he opens up this book made of a blue-gray metal metallic pages. And as he turns a page, you see these hieroglyphic, glowing, dancing golden letters always moving, line by line. You can't read them physically. And then there's a simple beam of energy that comes out of the spine of this book. It goes into all 5,000 Atmas in the center white core of their being. And it goes into the white core of our being, including me. And it just means that the Savior's agenda is not my agenda. It's not the Galactic Alliance Council's agenda. It's not even the Sayre's agenda. It comes from where we were in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, where things are created anew and tested by Satnam in the lower worlds of time and space, which is why he's here. And if it comes back to him, true, necessary, and kind, that new creation is brought into reality on all levels. This is what we're part of now. And you find yourself hovering in a circle of beings around Turellian near the planet Earth. And then the Earth changes before your eyes, and it becomes one with no polar ice caps. Same place, same size. Two big continents, one centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere, and one on the other side of the planet, 2/3 its size, centered over the equator. Down near the South Pole, about 1/3 of the way above it, where this massive Lemriel continent is, we'll get into that, is an upward curved, half-moon bay-shaped, glowing emerald beach. There's a Himalayan-type mountain range in the center of this massive continent, half the size of the planet. And the continent extends 1/3 of the way below the North Pole. There is a city called Agamdes in that mountain range, and this is in the 3rd higher parallel dimension, where a planet Earth exists of a higher molecular time rate matter than you are normally aware of. No negative nature is in the atmosphere of this planet. It is protected. The moon circling it has oxygen atmosphere in dome cities. No polar ice caps, little oceans, turning on its axis orbiting Earth. In the distance is the singular sun and billions of stars surrounding us. We find ourselves wiggling our toes in this emerald green sand, blowing a foot above the sands, and you see this big curve, half moon bay shaped, and this huge jungle trees. A brown moss-covered path, straight as an arrow cut in the back of the middle of this curved beach. Turellian standing up to his knees in calm blue-green luminous water, charged with the hue. Still holding his 2 thumbs up, smiling. Atma hovering above him just like it is us. Now this green energy has to do with you remembering the lives you've lived in the lower worlds of time and space that matter, that mean something to your higher intelligence and IQ. So it will help you recover those. It moves up your leg. This is a human-like energy form that looks human, well-dressed. It's in the top of your head, goes right up into the white core of your being and out to the green layer, starting to turn some of those on. They aren't dead or destroyed. They're not ruined. They're just, I don't know if I'd say atrophied, just turned off, forgotten. That moss-covered path goes straight back several miles, and there's a single snow-covered mountain on the right. 2/3 of the way up towards the summit is a cavern opening, and a roaring waterfall is pouring out of it, dropping thousands of feet down a sheer cliff face. It's a blue-green luminous water. It disappears behind the blue trees, slightly green tinge, that circle the backside of a dome covering a city at the lower plateau of the western side of that mountain. There are 3 golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids in the back third, surrounding a long ivory-collared domed experimental laboratory. There's an oval blue-green lake, a semicircular mountain range in the background, with little waterfalls coming out of cavern openings, running down into this lake. That is there for the aesthetic pleasure of the people who work there. And there's little domed buildings, little homes and dwellings in the countryside, laced with little white marble paths. Standing on one path is Masterful. And we are standing in this tall lavender luminous grass, and there's these weeping willow type trees out in the countryside. And these birds with these V-shaped split tails here, singing the hue. And Pelham's standing there with his right hand up, and his fingers are open. You can see little webs between his fingers. Remember, he has this pale blue skin, jet black hair, emerald green eyes, very handsome. And beside him is standing a scientist named Dom, also Oceanian, slightly pointed ears. When he lifts his neck, you see little gill slits, 3 of them, parallel, high up under his neck. This race of humans have developed the ability to breathe underwater or on land because planet Oceania, which we'll visit another time, on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy is mostly water covered, the few islands near the equator, and transportation tubes that go down to the bottom of the Oceanian oceans, where dome cities are pyramidally placed along the ocean floor. The Drens live in a hollowed out volcanic chamber that was emptied out hundreds of millions of years ago in a self-contained ecosystem. We'll go visit them later. So he's standing there greeting us, and you realize that Turellian is there. Galactic Alliance personnel are walking on the paths everywhere. Next to the lake is a big blue disc. It's a landing platform. And there's what you would call a spectrum ship landed there. It's quite large. It has tall, thin pyramidal points coming out of a cobalt blue sphere. Each pyramidal shape is a different color. That's called a spectrum ship. It's Oceanian. It's more advanced than anything the Galactic Alliance has. There's one of those parked there and several Galactic Alliance scout craft on individual smaller discs outside a triangular opening that enters this dome city. So you're back on the beach now. You've just seen all this. Up above this cavern opening where the waterfall comes out the mountain is an oval tunnel with disc-shaped lights, luminous, going down inside it. That connects this parallel dimension of Earth to the one we live on Earth into a hollowed-out base that was built inside Mount Shasta in 1908. If it hadn't been there, we'd all be dead now. There's a lot that needs to be disclosed to people on this planet, and they have to be ready for it. And you're on the beach, and then you find yourself hovering in the orbit around Turellian, looking at the Earth you're familiar with polar ice caps. Then you're hovering above your body, and these 2 beings that have been with you the whole time, man and woman from the Galactic Alliance, considered master teachers, are there too. And then they vanish. You can see from where you are, hovering above that body, them getting up of egg-shaped blue cushioned chairs, standing in their feet on this thick blue carpet. They're looking out horizontal oval window portals. They see this gas giant planet Saturn and all the many moons around it. And there's 300 other ship's personnel standing around. And they're simply waving their right hand at you because they see you back on Earth. They're stationed aboard that ship. That Emerald Star cruiser is a mile long, has bridge controls on each end, no open launch bays. Ships raise their regular time rate and enter the metal hull, right through it. They're made and designed to go through vast areas of interdimensional portals to cover great distances. They can go through at either bridge, either end. So you're looking at this, and then you see this white golden light come down through the ceiling, through the spherical being you are, through your body for your benefit. And then it continues past you for the benefit of others. It goes to 3 pyramids on Earth that are stationed here now, not made of physical matter, turned on and running. 2 are at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans. There's a statue in a fountain of Satnam in each one, and it is a device. There's one in a hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas on Earth, the Earth you know. It moves through the side walls of this hue that just came through you. It goes out to a bigger pyramid stationed stable between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles at high speed in the orbit of what once was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And that was called Maldek, and it was blown apart from the center outward long ago. You find out about more of that in the Emerald Doorway book. The Series Agenda book is about what's happening in space that's changed everything, that makes this work possible. And so this energy goes through that big pyramid to other pyramids stationed between stars, and it goes up the galactic core and back to source, where we just visited on this journey. And it never stops moving. When you're ready, open your eyes. Now that's an out-of-body journey. Purposeful, meaningful, direct. And you are really there. Doesn't matter what your mind tells you or if you doubt it. I can tell you, you were really there. You daydream, you go to the store. Now you're focusing your attention beyond Earth's atmosphere and all of its limitations. And when I describe a place like Zetranami 1, which is the Galactic Alliance Council headquarter world near the central core of our galaxy, now you know it. You know how to visualize some parts of it. And you will have a copy of this recording to review. It would be good if you spent a couple of days enjoying the experience, and then get a notepad, get your favorite food, sit down and go through this recording again as if you're going on the journey for the first time. Take a break, go eat, turn it off, come back. Do it with childlike wonder. You're going to find something that's phenomenal. You're going to find that you have a higher IQ and intelligence to not only understand it, but realize how much took place on this journey in a short period of time that you won't remember right now. But when you go through it the second time, you will comprehend all of it. You'll just be smarter. So that's how a journey like this works. It's your first one. This is not an implant removal journey. That's a separate journey, and we do that just out in space outside of Earth's atmosphere. We may go to a few planets for fun and enlightenment, but that takes place with Galactic Alliance personnel out in space. Okay, now I will bring this recording to an end, and we can chat.